This is TWiT.
All right, you can see we've arranged quite a few laptops in front of us here.
I don't even think this is all of them. You can't even see all of them.
You can't, there you go. They're in three different kind of main categories. We've got some Microsoft Windows choices here. These are all the Microsoft laptops. We've got some choices from Apple, both Mac OS and iOS, the iPad laptop. And then stuck in the middle here is kind of my choice, which is a Chromebook. This is the latest Chromebook from Samsung, the Chromebook Plus, which I like a lot. If we start by price, this is the least expensive. Chromebooks tend to range from $150 to about $500. This one's $450 with the ARM processor in it. If you want an Intel processor, which I don't really think is necessary, you can get the Chromebook Pro. That's $100 more. But I think this is a really nice laptop with a great screen. It's a touch screen. It will run Android apps, which makes Chrome OS a little bit more powerful. And it's got a real keyboard. Now, your daughter has been using iPads, I'm sure, for some time.
Yes, she's been using them for school, but now she's moving on to high school. And I don't think that the iPad is right for her, but I think that it probably is good for other high school students.
It just depends. I mean, in this case, we've got the 12.9-inch iPad Pro in a Logitech keyboard case, and to its left, the smaller 10.5-inch iPad. I think you would want a Pro, wouldn't you? Because it works with a keyboard. Actually, they all work with a keyboard, but it has that smart connector. It works with the pencil, which you have to have the Pro to work with the pencil. And it seems to be with iOS 11, they're going to have some more laptop-like features.
Yeah, there's the Files app, and I think it's gotten a little bit easier to work in Google Docs and Google Sheets, which is how a lot of schools work now.
Right.
Of course, it's not going to be as easy as it is in Chrome.
One of the things that's really changed is everybody's online all the time now. When the Chrome OS first came out, the first Chromebooks, I kind of poo-pooed them because it did require you to be online. It really was a computer designed to use the cloud, but nowadays that seems pretty ubiquitous. There are not many places you can go in your day-to-day life when you're not online. Certainly in school, you're going to be almost always online. Yeah. My only concern about the iPads, besides the lack of a keyboard, I mean, they're great touch interface, and there's lots of educational apps on there. One of our student visitors, the youngest student visitor, is learning to program Swift using Swift Playgrounds, and that's a really great way to learn how to program. There's other programs like Tinker, too, that are fantastic. But it doesn't come with a keyboard. If you add the keyboard, you're talking almost $1,000, right?
Yeah, the $159, $169. I have a little MacGyver set up here where I use, on my 10.5 iPad, I use the Magic Keyboard, which you might already have sitting around. That's the Apple Magic Keyboard, plus just a little $100 canopy.
Stand. But it'll work with any Bluetooth keyboard. But the iPad itself starts at what, $650?
Yeah, $650, $800 it starts at for the 12.9. That's
and then you're going to add $150 in keyboard. I think that's a pretty expensive solution for what is basically just a tablet. The Chromebook is generally under $500. Now, you could look at a Macintosh. We've got 3 different Macintoshes here. This is the one I would recommend, which is a MacBook Pro. This is a higher-end MacBook, but it doesn't have the touch bar. The touch bar adds significantly to the cost, and I think does not add to functionality, at least not yet, even though there are more and more apps using it. I think looking down at a touch bar isn't that useful. I don't think a student especially needs the touch bar, and I found it impeded my touch typing. I kept hitting it with a pinky and things would launch. So that's actually the MacBook you're looking at right there. The MacBook Pro is probably what you want, although you could get something a little bit, this starts at $12.99 without the touch bar. The MacBook also starts at $12.99. It's a little thinner and lighter, also a great screen. And my problem with both the MacBook and the MacBook Pro is this keyboard. I really think Apple's made a mistake with this keyboard. Of all the keyboards we have here, it's the shortest travel, which means your fingers kind of bottom out when you're hitting that key. And I find that difficult to type on. Now, you may not, if you're a high school freshman, you may not care, right? Kids might be used to that.
They might, yeah, or they might not be used to anything. Yeah, this, like, starting high school might be the first time they're really doing a lot of typing, and they won't remember all the days of those wonderful chiclet keyboards.
Right, and I may be such an old timer that that's my problem, and it might be that a kid isn't going to notice the difference. I just would hate to type any length of time using these keyboards because they don't have the travel. Even a Chromebook has better travel. Now there is a Macintosh, an older Macintosh here. This is the MacBook Air.
This is the MacBook
This
Air.
is the least expensive Macintosh Apple sells. It starts at $1,000. You were able to find a student discount down to what, $850?
Well, yeah, $850 for a brand new one. Well, it's not new, it's old hardware, but from the new part, and then $800 refurbished. So that's something that we could talk about too.
If you're buying a refurbished Mac from Apple, I have no problem with that.
Yeah, 1-year warranty,
Yeah.
free shipping back and forth.
If you're buying refurbished from the original manufacturer and they cover it with a full warranty, I don't have a problem with that. But you'll notice you aren't going to save that much either. That's a $50 savings.
I know. It was, that was why. So I had decided, I had gotten advice from Rene Ritchie. Rene Ritchie will say, MacBook Air all the way for college
It's
kids.
thin, it's light, it's got a better keyboard because it has the older keyboard. The negative on that is the screen resolution. It's the worst of anything here, including the iPads, the worst screen resolution.
So that's what he said, and I thought, who cares? She's 14, like, she can deal with it. But Jason Snell pointed out that kids are really used to having a higher screen resolution. They're used to streaming HD videos on their iPhones, and so they will probably use this as their TV.
Right.
And so if you're going to be spending that much money anyway, you know, they will pay attention to the resolution.
Yeah.
The other problem with the MacBook Air is, what is your kid going to do with it? Are they just going to type papers? Are they just going to do docs? My daughter likes to edit videos, and I bet a lot of kids also like to do that, and I bet they're asked to do that in school pretty often. And when she edits videos, she uses my MacBook Pro.
Right.
I mean, that's what she uses. She can't do it on any other device.
She could do it on an iPad. Actually, there's pretty good video editing, but I wouldn't want to do it on a Chromebook.
She could, yeah, she does a lot of like HD video editing. Like, could she do that on the iPad, like GoPro videos?
Yeah, she could do very good job with editing. It comes with iMovie, and there's other third-party apps that are very good. There's no Final Cut, but I think video editing on an iPad actually is very intuitive and easy, and it's a high-resolution, high-quality screen on the Pro.
Yeah.
Absolutely, I think you could do that. But I like a keyboard, and I do think you're right. The MacBook Pro, if you think she's going to be doing the editing, this is part of the problem of buying a student a laptop, because you don't know ahead of time what their interests will be or what they're going to want to do when she's just entering high school or they're just entering college. If you can get some direction about what they might want to do with it, that might help you decide. We left out over here on the right the Windows machines, and I think Windows 10 nowadays, I don't think kids have the same kind of prejudice as we might have had about Mac versus Windows versus iOS. I think Windows 10 is actually a very credible, solid operating system. One of the best things about Windows is there's a huge ecosystem. You can get a Windows laptop for under $200, all the way up to $5,000 or more, and there's some really nice choices out there. These are the three that Microsoft makes, and actually we got all three that Microsoft, well, we're missing the Studio, but these are the three laptops Microsoft makes. And I think these are very nice. They tend to be a little pricier. You can save money by not getting on Microsoft. You should look at Asus, Acer, Dell. I love Lenovo. Those are a little bit pricier, but they make very nice ones. But these are pretty sweet. This is the laptop. This is called the Surface Laptop. And I think a lot of students would like the fact that you can get it in 3 different colors, not just silver. Notice everything else is very silver except for the iPads. I love this burgundy color. And this is kind of weird, and I don't know how well it would wear in a student's hand, but it has a polyester, a plastic fabric coating. The fabric is called Alcantara. You might have encountered it in the headliner of your car. That's mostly where it's used. But it does give this a nice kind of soft, comfortable feel. I think Microsoft intended this laptop, which starts at $1,000, for the executive. It's very thin and light. It's kind of their version of an Ultrabook. It's all aluminum. And this is something you're going to want to think about a little bit. It has a dearth of connectors. Now, Apple's famous for lack of connectors. This has a USB connector, a DisplayPort connector, and on the other side, an SD card reader, and that's it. And it also, actually, I'm sorry, that's not an SD card reader. I always get fooled by that. That's the Windows connector, and that's how it powers the laptop. That's another reason I'm not crazy about Microsoft. They've chosen not to put the Type 3 USB connectors on here, and they power it with a proprietary charger. Almost everything else here, I think, except for the iOS devices which use Lightning, everything else here, and the MacBook Air, which uses MagSafe, but everything else, well, in the middle here, these all use Type-C charging, USB Type-C charging. Well, and I like that. I like those Type-C connectors.
As long as you brought up MagSafe, that's another consideration. I mean, if you have a klutzy all over the place teenager, the MagSafe, which is still only now, it's only on the MagSafe MacBook Air. So that's the connector that keeps it from pulling the whole system down when you pull down. But they've done. I mean, it's not easy to pull down your the new ones either.
I really I think Microsoft's making a little bit of a mistake focusing on this proprietary Windows connector. It can do more. Maybe that's why they do it. This is a Surface Pro. This is Microsoft's kind of equivalent of an iPad because it's a standalone, if I detach it, a standalone tablet, which then you can buy an optional keyboard for. The keyboard, believe it or not, I prefer this keyboard to the MacBook keyboard. It's still short travel, but it feels a little bit more comfortable than the MacBook keyboard. Everybody agrees that one thing Microsoft does very well is screens. This Surface Pro screen is among the best screens out there. They're also unusual in another respect. For some reason, Microsoft likes to ship screens that aren't wide, but are a 3:2 aspect ratio. And I actually like that for schoolwork, but it might be something that your daughter may not like if she wants to watch movies or edit movies. She might want a widescreen laptop. This is the Surface Book. Similar idea, it's a laptop, but you can detach the screen. Effectively, the screen is the same as a Surface Pro. This is really expensive. It starts at $1,500. It goes all the way up to $3,200. Now,
would you recommend getting that one used? Because that was your old Surface Book that you gave to me. Like, there might be people like you that want to get rid of. Is it like a used car? Should I not buy
I wouldn't buy used at this point, unless it's refurbished by the original manufacturer, because really in that case, those aren't generally used. They were open box. Somebody bought them. State of California and others will not let you resell something once it's been opened, so they have to put it in the outlet store and sell it. Dell also has an excellent outlet store where you can save a few, $100, you save $100, that's a good deal. Maybe 10% off. You should also consult with the school because many schools have student discounts. And I would always, especially if your kid's going to college, I would always ask the school if you know what department your child's going to be in, or talk to somebody at the school about what they recommend. So you're going to be able to get deals. There's a Windows deal. The Macintoshes have deals as well. You're going to get deals, but you're also going to get some advice as to what hardware would be good. I think all things being equal, my strong choice, because of price alone, is a Chromebook. I think these are very capable computers. They have great keyboards. They're easy to use. Most Chromebooks now have touch, which is a fantastic feature. This one comes with a stylus, so if your daughter likes to draw, she can draw with this. What this is not good for is video editing, photographs, that kind of thing. But it's great for a homework machine. And in fact, this is our son's homework machine for his freshman year. We borrowed it from Michael. Thank you, Michael, for letting us use this. And I think this is a great machine for a starter. And one of the advantages of making it $450 is if you do down the road if your daughter says, "Oh, I'm going to do video editing," you can then. You haven't blown the budget. Maybe you get a year or two out of this, and then you can look at a higher end laptop down the road. You already know she wants to do video editing.
I do know that, and also it's a private school, and they require either Windows or Mac.
They don't give you an option for a Chromebook.
You can't, and I think they must have software that they use, monitoring software or something that doesn't.
That's why you want to be careful, because and do ask the school, because they may say, no, she's going to need to use a program that runs on Mac OS or Windows. In that case, I bet you're going to have to bite the bullet a little bit, because it's $300 more than that MacBook Air, but it's more than $300 more powerful, in my opinion. I would look at the MacBook Pro. This is a 13-inch, no touch bar, so you save some money there, and I think this is everything she would need if she can stand the keyboard. It's the only thing that deters me, but I think she'll be fine with that. Let her try it and see.
Well, PC guy 8088 made a good suggestion in the chat room, which was have them pay for some of it. So, I mean, if they're going into high school, they probably, she babysits. She has a job. So
you could say that. You could say, honey, we'll buy you a MacBook Air, or if you kick in an extra $300, would be glad to get you a MacBook Pro.
Well, also because he made the very valid point that they're going to treat it better if they pay for part of it.
Skin in the game.
And then, of course, there's, you know, if you're watching this, you probably have a laptop that you want to hand down. You want to get yourself, maybe you want to get yourself the new one and, you know, then hand down your lower one. I think that we do, even though we do have a lot of laptops here, I think we do have a significant hole of those Windows machines that are not made by Microsoft that are around the same price as
and
this.
there are, the problem is there's thousands of them. It is the most rich ecosystem, and in a way that's the strength of it, but it makes it hard for you as an end user to choose. I think the Dell XPS 13 is a really great choice, a beautiful screen. It's lightweight, it's powerful. Windows 10 is I think a very good choice, and because it has touch, I think a lot of students who are used to touch with their smartphones will be more comfortable with Windows 10 than they are with a non-touch Macintosh. I know we've probably done short shrift to the iPad Pro. I think in time, that might end up being a great laptop choice for some students, especially the 10.5 inch. But I don't think it's quite there yet. I think we have to wait and see how iOS 11 matures and which apps come along, especially educational apps, to take advantage of the more lap-type-like form factor. I like the Chromebook. There's one other reason Chromebook's good for a student. You can't really play any games. There's no Minecraft. And that's not such a bad thing, is it? That's maybe one reason why your kid wants to buy a Windows machine.
Yeah, probably.
Much better gaming. Much better gaming.
Yes.
I know we haven't really solved your problem.
No,
but
and
I
I
think
also
you've got a
need
lot
to-
of information now.
I also need to get her a graphing calculator too. So
You know, why do they still make kids buy graphing calculators?
I don't know.
That's
It's
crazy.
math, but I got a lot of good advice on Twitter.
You can do it all on a computer.
They still have a TI-89. I think maybe that's what I'm supposed to get.
The graphing calculator.
Yeah, for mathematicians. I guess maybe because they don't want kids taking out, they want it separate. I don't know. But I was excited to know that there's still the TI still holds the market on the graphing calculator.
I have about 4 TI-89s. We'll lend you one.
Good.
I kept buying them for Abby and Henry. I don't know why. Because they need them. I think it's the testing also. They can bring those into the testing.
Maybe, yeah.